But this guy has a very fascinating story, and I think it should be a book and eventually a movie one day, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But Jayson, how would you describe the life of Jayson Williams in a sentence?
I've been graced by God. I've caused a lot of pain in my life. I've done everything a man's supposed to do and not supposed to do in his life. And most things I'm pretty embarrassed about and I'm sorry about.
And that's the beginning of it, just knowing that you're sorry, knowing that we make mistakes, we fall down, but we get up. And it's what you do when you get up that's most important. Take that microphone for me right there.
Thank you.
That's most important when you get up. But I want to talk about this. For people out there at home that don't know about this guy, back in the day, in the 90s, this guy was a beast on the basketball court. I'm talking about, you heard of Dennis Rodman, you heard of Charles Barkley. He was a rebounding nut. Big superstar, had a huge contract, personality. We talk about Charles Barkley on Inside the NBA. Jayson Williams was Charles Barkley long before Charles Barkley. He could have been that guy on Inside the NBA. Still got that great personality. Obviously a good-looking dude, but of course, once again, his career came to an end suddenly because of an injury. And then a couple of years later, there was an accident at your home. We were talking about that, where you accidentally shot the limo driver. And of course, you went on trial. Eventually, you got convicted of aggravated assault 8 years later, and you served 27 months in prison. How many nights, how often do you think about that night in 2002 on Valentine's night?
It doesn't an hour go by that I don't think about it. It don't have to take the nighttime. It's why I'm at Futures, Recovery Healthcare every day. I stay busy. I get to the gym at 4 o'clock in the morning. I work out to 6, and then I go to work, helping people help others, help me from 6 all the way up until 9 o'clock at night. And then when I get home, I'm so tired, hopefully I can just fall asleep. That night was the worst night of my life, and for Mr. Christophe. We went to a Harlem Globetrotter game, and I have adopted children because my sister was one of the first women in New York City to catch the AIDS virus. She was robbed for $2, stabbed 17 times, beat over the face with a hammer. Went and got a blood transfusion, came down with AIDS. Wasn't like it was now. She only can live 6 months, but we had to remove all the mirrors out of her house because her face was deformed. She was a beautiful woman, model for Salem cigarettes. My other sister, Sissy, tried to soothe her and started using drugs with her. She caught the AIDS virus. I had 2 sisters with AIDS, and I'm a young man. My third sister happened a little older, but she married an alcoholic, and her husband had a bad day, came home, shot her in the face, and then killed himself also. So Mike, Donny, when I was at St. John's University, to quit from having DIFUS, take my children, I had to adopt them. And adopting my children, I had to wake up every morning, take my son from Jamaica, Queens, into Manhattan, then come back, wake up my daughter, who was 11, and my son was about 7, and get her to school. Then I had to go to school. Then after school, go pick them up, Pick up my son, pick up my daughter, bring them to practice. We had Lou Condesec at that time. He practiced for 6 hours, Then have to help them with their homework, Then do my homework, bathe them, feed them, and then do what an 18-year-old does, playing for the most famous university in the world. But the only accolade I'll take here today is that I got drafted in 4 years.